Hi, my name is Pete, and I would like to take you on a journey where we will go from an install of Arch Linux inside a virtual machine on Windows 10, and we will be using that as the jumping point for a Linux from scratch with Window Manager installation. Now, I'm not 100% sure which window manager or desktop environment to use just yet. There are big and very popular desktop environments like KDE or GNOME, but I'm leaning more towards a very simple window manager called ICE Window Manager. The reason why I'm leaning towards ICE is that I've had success with it before, and it's really very simple and does not take up a lot of space and resources. And more importantly, you can customize it to look nice, and that's really all you want. Now, before we begin the actual installation, we need to get all the files involved. As of September 2021, these are the files I recommend you getting and installing: Oracle VirtualBox, Cygwin64, Git SCM Bash, and of course you will need the Arch Linux ISO itself. You may want to try getting gparted also. I found that helpful to create a partition after the fact, though that's not really necessary, I think. We'll find out in a few days. Now, a few words about Linux from Scratch. Linux from Scratch is basically a cookbook. It's not really a distribution in the usual sense. It's not something that you can just download an ISO for and install. It's something that you need to build, and you need to build it inside another host Linux distribution. And this Linux distribution needs to have all the building software and compilers installed. And I will be showing you that to you as we go along. For example, if we need some utility like Vim, we download the source code and compile it and install it. If you're trying to follow along, be aware that I'm using the stable systemd version 11.0 of LFS, which will eventually lead us to the Beyond LFS book. So we have our work cut out for us. I'd also like to talk about why I'm choosing to install terminal emulators like Cygwin and Git Bash. They make it easy to SSH into the virtual machine once we have networking set up. More importantly, they give us the ability to copy and paste. If you've already looked at the Linux from Scratch book, you will quickly see long lists of commands that must be entered exactly as written. The ability to copy and paste just makes that task much simpler and less likely to screw up your attempts at building LFS. Now, Linux from Scratch itself takes patience more than anything else. While it is possible to do it all in one sitting, I think it's best to take your time and think things through and try to understand what you are doing. The beauty of virtual machines, of course, is that if you do screw up, you can just delete and start over. Now, if you were to attempt to do this on a bare metal laptop or PC, a machine that has no OS installed, I would probably recommend starting with Manjaro, Ubuntu, or Linux Mint as the host. But that topic is beyond the scope of this series. But who knows, maybe that is something for another video series. All right, let's get started.